Welcome to Carpe Dime, the podcast about personal finance and everyday life. I'm Jamie Davidson.
And I'm Courtney Cooper from Financial Center First Credit Union. Thanks for spending your free time listening to us talk about how life and family affects us achieving our financial goals.
Yeah, here we go. It's that time of year. So today's topic, you really can't miss it right now. If you go out to the stores, you go to Walmart or Target or wherever, it's that time of year. Some people are excited about it. Some people not so much. What time of year am I talking about?
You're talking about back to school.
Yeah, and with back to school comes back to school shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you know me know that I just don't really like to spend a lot of money. So we're going to talk about that today, right, Court?
That's right. I think we're kind of polar opposites there. I love to shop. I loved back to school shopping. So it's going to be really interesting to see, your tips versus my opinions.
Right.
But
Well, it's funny because, I have 3 children, and still to this day, my 19-year-old gets excited to go out and get her supplies for school. And she's in college, and I'm just like, you're not in second grade anymore.
I was the same way. I was the absolute same way. But I guess your perspective, you've been a teacher for a really long time now, right?
Right. 12 years in the classroom, middle school and high school, and then 13 years teaching financial literacy. So you put it all together, that's 25. And then you add in my years of experience as a parent paying for this stuff for my kids.
Right. So it's double.
Yeah. So that means I'm going to be really smart about this topic, right?
Probably. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
I'll start off with some facts first.
Yeah, you're the fact queen today.
I'm the fact queen. So according to the National Retail Foundation, the cost of returning to public school is about $697 per household every year. And that's even broken down a bit further. On average, here are the costs. Families spend $117 on school supplies every year, $200 on technology such as computers or other devices, $136 just on shoes, and $240 on clothing. And that's not including shoes, of course.
Well, it's funny. I'm gonna touch on a few of these real quick. So I was at the store the other day and saw the parents scurrying around to get everything on the list because the schools give them a list now. So 117 on school supplies. Yeah, if you haven't planned for it, that's a big chunk.
Oh, yeah.
Out of a weekly budget. Mm-hmm. And then, you throw out the technology there. Somebody's getting by pretty well with $200. Maybe they're just having to rent it from somebody because we got the kids' laptops a couple years ago, and it wasn't $200. And $136 on shoes. I think we're a little low there. When I was teaching in high school 14 years ago, the kids usually spent about $150 on a pair of shoes. So, but if you add that all up, like you said, it's close to $700.
That's crazy, and that's not even families with multiple kids. It just adds up really quickly.
That's the average of one student, right? Mm-hmm. Think about that. And here's what a lot of us don't do. We enjoy the summer and we don't budget for our supplies. And then it's time to go back to school. And it's like, oh my gosh, where am I going to get this money? And where do most Americans go when they don't have money?
They go on their credit card.
Yeah, they load up that credit card. So this is sort of the beginning of the credit card again. We had it for vacation during the summer. Now it's back to school. Next thing you know, we're going to have the holidays around the corner.
I know. And, at $700 per household, that's basically like a second Christmas,
Yeah, depending on where you are. Yeah, or who you are, I should say. Not where you are, but who you are.
So today we're going to talk about tips for back to school budgeting. So whether you're in college or K through 12, we'll cover both, but first we'll talk about K through 12 and a couple of tips that you'll need to survive and not spend as much money.
Right. Number one really is you need to total everything up. How much is everything going to cost? Back to that word again, the B word, which I love to bring up.
Budgeting.
Budgeting, right?
Budgeting is your favorite word.
Yeah, so you're going to set up those expectations. When it comes to supplies, hopefully the school sent you a list, right?
And if you have to pick up a list at a store, you don't have to shop that day. You can go home, evaluate what items you actually have already, and total up from there so you know what to expect and if you need to, work a little extra to make that money.
That's right. And like we just said, $700, that's a lot of money. So find any way you can, right?
Right.
And set the expectation, that we're going to stay below this amount in that budget. Yes?
Right. That comes to our second point. Create a spending limit and stick to it.
That's not always easy.
Right.
It reminds me of when our daughters were growing up, we would set a budget for their clothing and they got to the point where they wanted to buy their own clothing. Mm-hmm. So we would take them shopping and set a budget, give them the money, and they would go buy everything and they had to come under budget. Well, if they spent half their budget on shoes, they only had the rest left for clothing. So set that hard budget, that hard limit for your students so that they understand that you just can't have everything all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. And don't wiggle on it. If your student spends half their money on shoes, don't say, okay, I guess we'll bail you out a bit for clothes. Let it be a lesson to them.
Right. And what do we want them to do? We want them to stick to it.
Stick to their budget. That's right. Correct. So the third tip for back to school budgeting for K through 12 is you have to shop smart. So, if you're in the store, there's a generic version of notebooks and there's a 5-star version. The 5-star version is like $5 and the generic is $1. And what's the difference? Nothing. They're both lined paper. They'll last you throughout the semester.
Right. And if they don't, you can go buy more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because you saved $4 on the $1 one as opposed to the $5 one. Mm-hmm. My daughter should have listened to this because that's what I've been telling her for years. And she keeps telling me I have to get that brand name one, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not always about that. It's okay to buy generic. Not only that, for some reason, a lot of people think they need to get a new backpack every year. There's not always a need. If your backpack's still good, continue to use that backpack. So use what you had left over from last year, right?
Mm-hmm. That was something I was really bad about. Every year, I wanted a new backpack. I wanted to be the coolest one when I was growing up, and I still wasn't the coolest, even with the new backpack.
Even with the new backpack.
So it's okay to reuse. No one's thinking about your backpack and whether or not you have a new one. So it's just in your head.
So we're going to buy generic, right?
Yep, buy generic.
So another place you can go, a lot of people think about, you can go where?
The thrift store.
Right, go to the thrift store. Or, guess what? If you're in a household with many kids, maybe the answer is you get hand-me-downs. Mm-hmm. We're very fortunate. I've got a 9-year-old son, and we don't have any other sons, but we have other friends that have boys, and I am so thankful when we get those hand-me-downs because it can get so expensive. Look for any way you can to save money, whether it's on the supplies, whether it's on the computer, whether it's on the shoes, the clothing, whatever that is.
Facebook Marketplace, people are always giving away, kids' backpacks, school supplies that they don't need anymore. So it's always an option.
Right. I just used that last week, actually.
Oh, me too.
I sold a pair of shoes on there, and my wife's like, nobody's gonna give you any money for that, and I sure did. I made some money. And guess what? That was my mad money. She didn't get any of it.
Exactly. And you would be surprised. And let's say you did want a new backpack. You can always take last year's backpack. Instead of throwing it away, you can either donate it or you could sell it yourself.
Right.
So
make a little money to buy a new one.
Exactly. Options there.
Yes. One of the things I love to do, we used to go to the outlet mall so that we, we're getting the brand name, but we're not paying the full price for it. So that's another option. Find different places. You can still get the brand name without paying brand name prices. I love the discount stores. I'm a big discount store shopper. What about you? Do you like the discount stores? Which one's your favorite?
I am thrifting almost every weekend. That's what we did for my birthday. My friends make fun of me, but I love thrifting.
It's nice. You save money and you still look good.
Exactly. And people always ask me where I got something, and it's the thrift store. It surprises people. Always shop secondhand. It's worth it.
Always. And another tip on that is when you're doing that, when we're still talking about the same thing, is sometimes you just buy in bulk.
Right. Yes. If you have a lot of kids, you can get your notebooks in bulk, and it would be a lot cheaper than buying them all individually, or pens or other supplies like that.
Very good. And our fourth one is, Courtney?
Just wait till the season is over. You don't need supplies immediately all the time. So usually after a period of time where, the craze is over for back to schools, retailers will actually discount their items. You see it at the end of every school season, at Christmas, Halloween.
Yeah, you see it at every season, don't you?
Every season, yeah.
Matter of fact, everyone, you should be buying your summer clothes now in August for next year. Now, you just got to make sure you stay skinny enough to wear them for next year. Right? You don't want to gain
that
weight.
That might not happen.
But that's the way to go. And I like the fact that you said it's the same thing with the holidays as well. So you can wait a couple weeks before the school year starts, and then prices might come back down a little bit. It might be, may not get the one thing that they want, but they're going to live. Honestly.
Right. And, I think Americans are just really used to getting what they want now. They want to wear it now. But with a little bit of patience, you can actually save a lot of money. Things can be discounted to 50%, 75%. Not all the school supplies get bought. So.
Right. It's a funny story, and I say that often, I guess, but it is a funny story. In my classroom, when I was teaching, we were talking about a pair of shoes, and 2 young men had the same pair of shoes on. And I asked the one how much he paid for the pair. I asked the other, and he told me how much he paid for the pair. And the students thought the one that paid less for the same pair of shoes didn't get as good as shoes. And I just really had to explain to them, they're the same pair of shoes. He saved $25. So when it comes to buying these things, hey, if you can get the brand name backpack or whatever it is and pay less, trust me, it's a win. And then maybe mom and dad have a little left over that you can do something else with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk, real quick recap, our tips for back to school budget. What is number one?
Number one is total up everything that you need and set expectations.
Set that expectation, have that budget. Number two is create a spending limit and stick to it.
Number three is shop smart. So that's buy generic, go to the thrift store, get hand-me-downs, whatever you have to do.
And number four is wait till back to school season is over. So instead of buying in August, maybe wait till September when everything's sort of discounted.
2 weeks of patience is a lot of money.
Yes, it is. All right, now let's shall we talk about college students today?
Yes. Yeah. So this one I'm a bit more familiar with because I have no kids and I was a college student a couple of years ago.
She was.
Yes.
I think she still is. If you saw her, guys.
Oh, that's rude.
She hates this. I know. I got to tease her a little bit.
He's just teasing.
Yes.
I think.
I am teasing. Always. So number one, and a lot of young people don't want to do this, especially their first year of college, but there is really nothing wrong with it. Maybe work a part-time job.
And at first, I was really adverse to working part-time in college. I didn't my freshman year, but my second year, I ended up getting an internship. So that not only was something I was interested in for college, and it helped further my career later on, but I earned a little bit of money on the side. So college tuition costs weren't so bad.
Yeah, we were actually very lucky because you became one of our interns and then came on with the credit union full time. So I think it worked out for everybody.
It was
right?
a win-win, absolutely.
You got that extra money, you got the experience, and now you've got the career.
Exactly.
Welcome. And now you're on Carpe Dime. Here you are with me. You've come along.
Yeah.
So what's number two?
Consider your tuition costs. So, a lot of people, they'll get the student loan and they'll just not think about it through college. Not even after college, they'll just let it grow a little bit. But if you work early to pay it off early, I think you're going to be in a lot better of a place paying it off, getting used to that before you get your first job. One
of the things I tell people to do is if you do take out an education loan, just start paying on it every month when you are in college, even if it's just $25. Because you're paying on the interest and you're getting used to that payment.
It creates a habit.
It creates that habit. Whereas opposed where you're not paying on it for 4 or 5 years and then you get out and you wait 6 more months because they let you do that. And next thing you know, you get this huge bill and you go, oh my gosh, talking about stress and anxiety, right?
Right.
So
right. So it's better to get started early on.
And know where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Number three.
Apply for scholarships.
Yeah, and my tidbit on that is, I put it here in my notes, is apply, which is hard to tell young people because, they apply for one or two, and if they don't get one, they get discouraged. But really, there's so many out there. You have to actually, you just need to keep throwing out the hook. And eventually you're going to get one.
It's really surprising, though. A lot of scholarships go unclaimed, and it's for, the most random things. Girls who golf, their scholarships, a lot of scholarships go unclaimed, even full rides to school, just because people don't know to apply.
Yeah, a lot of these universities have endowments, which are money that's been growing for years, just sitting there waiting for you to apply. So all you've got to do, really, again, once I said, is apply, and apply again. Just keep applying. You're going to eventually get one.
Yep. Talk to your school guidance counselor, and usually they'll give you a list of all the ones that you can apply for.
Right.
And our fourth tip.
Our fourth tip is spend responsibly with your credit card. Okay, we've talked about this before. You get to college, you have your credit card. Make sure you know what you're putting on it. You're keeping in budget. The key is always keep it below 40% of the total on that line of credit. So if it's $1,000 line of credit, do not go over $400. And it's so hard, right? Tell me, Courtney, when you went to college, what'd you do?
My gosh. I was so bored. I went to the mall. I went out to eat. I spent a lot on my credit card. But I did maintain under 40%. Otherwise, my parents would have been mad at me.
Very good. Yeah, but it's so easy. You get there and you go, wow, I want that poster. Wow, I want this for my room. Oh, wow, pizza. Let's have pizza tonight. No, I don't want to eat the food downstairs. Let's get some pizza.
Especially with a minimum payment, it makes it seem like out of sight, out of mind. Over time, I'll pay it off. But, over time, that'll actually grow into a higher amount. And it's better to just budget, spend what you have, and pay it off when you can.
That's exactly right. And here's another part of that. You might make a mistake and you screw up a little bit. But the answer, like I always say, is when you make a mistake, just go back and start doing it the right way the next month. Don't get down on yourself, and don't pull your credit card out because you're now depressed that you went over your limit and charge it up more. Go back and just get back in the swing of things and go from there.
Don't dig yourself a deeper hole.
No. So what about number 5?
This is one that I absolutely did all the time in college. It's to buy used textbooks. And oh my gosh, textbooks are so expensive.
They really are.
Over $500 every semester, not even every year. But there are actually out there, if you ask your professor if you can use an old edition of a textbook, you could be saving hundreds of dollars per textbook.
Yeah, so always ask that question. It's funny because I went to high school where we didn't rent our books. We had to buy our books. So that was sort of the goal, to get the day that they were coming to sell them back to the bookstore. You got there first and tried to buy them for cash, and did the same thing in college. So that's buy used.
Yeah,
buy
absolutely.
Used. Don't try to get it from the student, not the bookstore that has actually raised that price. I've seen another one recently too. I don't know if you use this or not, but with our children, they've been renting them from Amazon. Did you know you can do that?
Yes. Yeah. I think I actually did rent them from Amazon probably my last 2 semesters.
And it can reduce your cost. The only thing is you've got to make sure when the semester's over, you rented the book. So guess what you probably have to do?
Return it. Do not forget to return it and then end up paying full price anyways.
Right. Yeah. So make sure you're returning that book. But that's one cost-cutting way about when it comes to textbooks, of maybe saving a little bit of money, because you want to save that money when you're in college, so when you get out you're not overwhelmed, but you also want to have fun. So make sure you're doing that. Let's go back over those ones for the college students, the five ones. So number 1 is
work part-time.
It's okay to work. I worked 3 jobs when I was in college. You guys can do 1.
Exactly.
Number 2,
consider your tuition costs.
Yes, make sure you know exactly what your costs are.
And number 3,
apply for scholarships.
Right.
Apply. Number 4,
spend responsibly with your credit card.
Yeah, that's not just in college. That's all the time.
All the time.
And number 5 is buy used textbooks if you can, or rent them. It's a genius thing to do. You save some money. You know what? That's one more piece. That's one more pizza you can get instead of, having to put on the credit card. You have that leftover money, right?
Exactly. Yes. Okay, perfect.
So, and you're going to do the wrap up?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you are a student or a parent of a student, you want to make sure you have a checking account that supports you and your financial well-being. Many credit unions actually offer free checking accounts that are tailored to you. But at Financial Center, we also offer a checking account with what?
We give you money if you get good grades.
That's right.
Rewards you, right? Get good grades, get money. So if you have a student that's in high school or college or middle school, have them come in, and we'd love to help them out with their plan.
Yep, and those accounts are totally free. We just care about the well-being of your child. So.
And where do we find out about those, Courtney?
You can learn more at fcfcu.com/student. Carpe Dime is presented by Financial Center First Credit Union. It's produced by Jamie Davidson and Courtney Cooper. Financial Center is a 6-time national award winner in the category of adult financial literacy. And our goal is to what, Jamie?
Help improve your financial life.
That's right. To learn more, visit fcfcu.com. And if you like what you hear, subscribe from iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and now the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Enjoy back to school. Stay on budget.